There is a pretty good reason a Infamous 2 remake keeps sounding tempting even after all these years. I would argue that it's because the game has something that a lot of modern superhero games still sort of struggle to capture. Like, you actually felt like you were becoming a superhero, or the protagonist Cole started with a handful of these just electrical powers and then slowly turned into a walking storm, flying across rooftops, grinding along power lines, blasting enemies into buildings, and making choices that could change the entire tone of his journey. Sucker Punch sort of built Infamous 2 around that idea, with a new city, new powers, stronger melee combat, destructible environments, and a morality system also that could push Cole toward either heroism or destruction. And now there's actually a little more behind the remake talk than there was before. In May this year, a journalist said that he was under the impression that an Infamous project is happening somewhere within PlayStation. Otherwise, also made clear that his information came from a single source and had not been independently confirmed ever since. Push Square, the magazine, also reported that the project could be a remake of the two PlayStation 3 games, but again, that is speculation rather than an announcement from Sony itself. So far now, a Infamous 2 remake belongs firmly in the rumor category, but at least there is something recent that's actually worth talking about. The first thing that, would hit differently today is just simply seeing the world itself again. The city had a personality that went far behind being just a place where missions happened. Sucker Punch based it heavily on the American South and drew inspiration from New Orleans, bringing in human streets, old buildings, swamps, jazz influence, riverboat casinos, cemeteries, and the strange beauty basically of a city that feels both lively and dangerous. So obviously a remake could make that setting absolutely beautiful without losing the dirty, slightly broken feeling that made it work in the first place. Like, you could just walk through the city at night with lightning flashing in the distance, hear music coming from a bar, see people gather around street corners and just watch power lines stretching between buildings while Cole moves above them. The city wouldn't need to become enormous just for the sake of size. It would just be better if every neighborhood had its own character, with old streets, industrial areas, swamps, rooftops, and overcrowded markets all feeling different enough that you remember where you are without needing a map. And then Cole would just come flying through it. That's where the remake could really show how modern hardware can do. The original already made movements one of the most enjoyable parts of the game, but modern animation and physics could make Cole feel much more powerful now. Like jump from a rooftop, fire a blast while falling, land on a car, roll across the street, grab a power line, grind down it at full speed, then launch yourself toward another building. The controls should stay simple enough that anyone can understand them, but the movement should feel smooth enough that getting around the city becomes something you just do because it's fun. The powers could be even better now, in fact. Infamous 2 already introduced new abilities and gave Cole more ways to fight, including the powerful iconic Vortex, the amp melee weapon. Sucker Punch also built progression around blast cores that increased Cole's abilities as he searched for them. A remake, for that matter, could keep that basic progression while making each new ability feel like a little step forward. Like imagine starting with simple electrical blasts and gradually becoming capable of throwing huge bolts through groups of enemies, creating electrical storms, moving through the old city at ridiculous speed now, and just using the environment as part of your attacks. The important part, in fact, here would be making every power feel useful rather than just giving Cole dozens of abilities that will just basically do the same thing. The amp could just become much more satisfying. The original already improved Cole's close-range combat, but a modern version could make melee attacks flow naturally into his electrical powers. Hit someone with the amp, knock them into the air, launch an electrical blast, then use the momentum to jump out of a nearby building. The player should feel like they're just controlling one character with a connected set of powers instead of switching between separate combat systems. And obviously the enemies should finally be able to keep up as well. The game's world was full of these militia forces, monsters, all sorts of threats, but modern AI could just make encounters feel much more unpredictable now. Soldiers could use rooftops to surround Cole, heavy units could force them into open areas, and enemies could also have abilities that actually make them dangerous. Instead of just simply throwing more enemies on the screen, the game could create battles where you have to move, climb, escape, and attack from different directions. The morality system in that order should be another huge part of the remake. You see, this is one place where I wouldn't want PlayStation to overcomplicate things. In fact, the original Infamous 2 gave Cole these major decisions that could push the story toward good or then evil. And those choices affected missions, the characters, the powers, and even how the world reacted to him. So a modern remake could make those decisions feel more personal without turning them into a giant morality spreadsheet. If you save people, they remember it. If you destroy a neighborhood, people become afraid of you. The first thing that, would hit differently today is just simply seeing the world itself again. The city had a personality that went far behind being just a place where missions happened. Sucker Punch based it heavily on the American South and drew inspiration from New Orleans, bringing in human streets, old buildings, swamps, jazz influence, riverboat casinos, cemeteries, and the strange beauty basically of a city that feels both lively and dangerous. If you keep choosing the violent option, Cole's reputation changes naturally. If you help civilians, the city starts treating you differently. The game doesn't need to constantly tell you that you're good or evil, let the world just basically show it. That could be especially powerful with modern facial animations and voice acting. Cole was never really, the loudest or most theatrical superhero in the bunch, and that actually worked for him. He felt more like an ordinary guy who suddenly found himself carrying an impossible amount of power, so a remake could keep that grounded personality while giving his relationship with Zeke, Quo, Nix, and other people of the game's world just more room to breathe. Infamous 2 was never really about becoming the strongest superhero in the room. It was about what happens when an ordinary person suddenly has enough power to just change everything around him, and whether that power turns him into the person he wanted to become or something much darker. A modern remake could make that idea hit harder than ever. It could keep the same story, the same Cole, the same new race, the same world, and the same basic morality system while making the world feel alive. The powers feel incredible, and the movement feel completely effortless. And if the current rumor does eventually turn into something real, well, I hope PlayStation understands what people actually miss. Like, we don't just want Cole's face in some higher resolution, of course. We want to feel that first jump. We want to grind across a power line with a storm rolling over the city. We want to land on a rooftop, looking down at the city and know that there's 100 different ways to get where you're going. We want to make choices and wonder what kind of person Cole is becoming. Most of all, we want to once again feel powerful playing the game without losing the human inside of the character. That's what made Infamous 2 special, and if PlayStation really is bringing the series back, giving that feeling a modern home might be basically one of the smartest remakes it could become.